Paranormal stories based around Ireland, but not exclusively so. That's what we're about at Scary Era Paranormal Podcast. We're into episode, I think, 14 or 15 now, and I'm looking for your help. So jot this down. You might see it on the screen. paranormalireland@protonmail.com. Hello, my name is Mark Manning, and I'm the founder of what I've just been talking about. And today, what a beautiful sunny day we have in Ireland and England, and I'm sure other parts as well. Enjoy it. But if I can just take you away from it for a moment or two, as I said, I'm looking for your help. Today's story, appropriately enough, begins in the sun, because I'm in Sorrento around 2018, and I'm having this little family week away in the sun, in a bijou kind of a little place. There, I just love Italy. It's a second home to me. We go there regularly. And I'm in the little alcove, you know, the one that nobody ever occupies, that has all the Mills and Boons books in it and dog-eared old magazines, you know, where they make an attempt. Does anybody read anymore? Well, I do. So I find this little kind of tattered book up in one of the corners of a bookshelf. And I pull it out, and I can see that it's kind of maybe one of these self-published kind of efforts. And I open it, and there's an inscription inside. There's a dedication. And it's from a Northern Irish gentleman. And he's basically saying, I'm bequeathing, there's a word, this book to the staff of the hotel who've been so good to me on all my visits over the years. Here's a story about my adventures cycling in Ireland. Right? That's exactly what it was about. It was about a bunch of mates from around Belfast who in the 1940s and 50s decided they were going to tour around Ireland when they didn't have very fancy bicycles or so, but what they had was great kinship, great adventures, great togetherness, you know, in that early part of their lives. And it morphed into something more organised in time, like cycling clubs in Northern Ireland. The paranormal aspect I found in two instances in his book, which was great. I can't remember what it was called, but as I said, I'd say it was a very limited publication. So they're in County Cork one night. So you can imagine all these teenagers, they're all on bicycles. It's the 40s or 50s. They pitch up camp way out on the outskirts of the town. And they do all the fun things teenagers do. Set up their, sing around a campfire, set up their tents, etc. And then, you know, eventually it all peters out and they settle down for the night. And in the early hours of the morning, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., something like that, they hear children playing, scurrying about, giggling, laughing, all those kind of noises that you associate with boisterous kids play. But they say to themselves, oh, hold on, our bicycles are going to be stolen. So they pull on their clothes and they run outside and we'll catch the little gurriers in the act. Nothing whatsoever outside. Still faintly on the air, though, they can hear children playing as if in a playground. And eventually it ebbs and it flows. Sometimes it comes back a bit louder, but it goes. It dissipates into the night air. And they look around and say, well, they must be, you know, they must be, you know, in the town or something. The town is in total darkness, right? You know, and that kind of country darkness where you can barely see your hand in front of you. But they know that there's no kids in the town running around. So that stuck with them. And he recalled that a couple of years later, as young men, they pitched up in the same place. But at that point, it had been somewhat built upon. To an extent, it wasn't as wide open plains as it used to be. And no phenomenon whatsoever that time. The next time, in his book, he recalls an instance, which the book is chock-a-block of just every ordinary day cycling adventures. You know, it was a recollection of his life, his young life. All seen from two wheels and the fun that was to be derived from same. So they're in, I think it was County Antrim, where my beloved comes from. And they set up camp one night across from some like hedgerow, you know, this kind of bocage shrubs and you know, bushes all intertwined. So they were across a road from it. And again, early hours of the morning, they heard, look, I'm just going to call it what it was. It sounded like a banshee. So this half human, half animalistic wailing noise, the type that makes your hair stand up on your head, came out of this area. They were looking across. They could see this area. They didn't see anyone. They didn't see some old lady with a comb, but they heard this cacophony of grief, this convulsion of the paranormal, if you like, but all auditory. You know, the keening, the wailing, the going up and down, crescendo, whatever. My mother, I think my late mother, I recall an incident she told me about when she was in a sanatorium as a child. Same thing. This phenomenon showed up where someone was dying and the noise went over the bed. It was terrifying, and it stuck with her all her life. She never, ever deviated from that, you know. And she had no reason to make that thing up. So this guy, there he was. And as a teenager, anyway, back to Antrim. And, this happened. This noise happened. I get back to Dublin, and I'm only out of TV a few years at the time, so I had still some contacts. And at that point, podcasts weren't really happening, or I wasn't in the game, if you like. And I was thinking maybe TV show, something along the lines of Most Haunted, Scary Era, was in here. So I did a quick bit of research. I found an interview from Northern Ireland television. I don't know what was UTV, something like that, going way back. And she was only doing her job, but there was a kind of an airhead, and she was asking this older man questions about cycling, the author of the book that I had just read and ingrained into my head. So I said, God, he might be still around, even though he was of cake baking years, and he was getting well on. But that was a good few years beforehand that interview had taken place. I was half amused thinking, is he still around? So anyway, between the jigs and the reels, I reached out, and after a big lull from the initial email, suddenly, as older people do, they take their time to answer emails. I do myself as I'm getting older. I got a reply, but I have to just tell you what it was. It was basically a cop-out, and I don't mean that. Look, I totally understand some pleb coming out of the public asking you to talk paranormal when you don't really want it, and it wasn't really the gist of the book you put together anyway. But look, hey, it left an impression enough that he documented it, and that's all I was trying to get to. So he basically said, oh, well, I'm getting on in years now, and maybe it was my imagination. And I'm thinking, just come clean. Tell us the truth. You had some phenomenon, and it left such an impression that you put pen to paper about it. That's all. And it's subjective. People either believe you, they don't believe you, they think they can relate to it, or they think you're a nutter. And my experience is people always think you're a nutter until they see something, like I did. When, episode 1, by the way, check it out, military barracks in Dublin. And I was going to tell you some other weird stuff as well, but I think it's too sunny. And so I'd like you to contact me at Paranormal Ireland, if I can put it down here. Have I put it down? Paranormal Ireland at protonmail.com. All right? Anything at all. Doesn't have to be Irish, but it helps. Put it in there, email it to me, and we'll get you on the show, or at least we'll read it out. Whatever way we want to get your experience across, you want to get it across, I'll get it across for you. Okay? So that's what I want you to do. Otherwise, on everywhere you get your podcasts, go look for go look for Scary Era Paranormal Podcast. Don't say Scary Era, you just get the old rap band. Great rap band, but Scary Era Paranormal, right? Otherwise, contact me down here on the email. Good luck to you now. It's great to have you aboard, those of you that are listening. We're into episode 14 or 15, and I'm going to go up at least to 50 episodes. And then I'll look back and see, well, it's a body of work, if nothing else, of all things paranormal in Ireland. Slán agus tuaire detain on this beautiful sunny day. Tá an gréine ag tanmh. Bye.